All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, the San Francisco 49ers completed a feat today, which is not that easy to do, and that's defeat a team three times in one season in the NFL. And they did it today to their NFC West rivals in the Seattle Seahawks. Now, the 49ers were expected to win today, and they looked the part early as they jumped out to the 10-0 lead in the first quarter. But Seattle would storm back in the second quarter to score 17 points. And when it was all said and done, it was the Seahawks who took the 17-16 lead into the locker room at the half. However, in the second half, the 49ers would show why people think that they have, or why some people think at least, why they have what it takes to go all the way and win their sixth Super Bowl in franchise history. San Francisco received the opening kickoff of the second half, and in doing so, they possessed the football today for nearly 8 minutes, which culminated in a 1 yard plunge by quarterback Brock Purdy to give them the 23-17 lead. And when it was all over, the Niners would never relinquish that lead again. The momentum of this game changed on the ensuing drive. We had Seattle driving. They got deep into San Francisco territory, and on a third down, the pressure that was created by the front four of the 49ers defense collapsed the pocket on Seahawks quarterback Geno Smith, recorded a strip sack fumble, and it was recovered by Nick Bosa. And at that point, the floodgates were about to open up. We saw the Niners march right down and put it together on another scoring drive. This time, Brock Purdy finding running back Elijah Mitchell to make it 31-17. Debo Samuel, a couple of minutes later, scored on a 74-yard run. Basically, it was a run, short pass and run, and it was 38-17. And at that point, it was all over except for the shouting. Now, when it's all said and done, this was a good season for the Seattle Seahawks. They were a feel good story in the NFL this year, but the supremacy of the 49ers reigned supreme in this contest, as this is one of the most talented and complete teams in the NFL. Now, nothing was expected of the Seahawks when this season began, as they definitely overachieved. Coming into the season, Seattle was expected to be picking in the top five of this year's NFL draft, while they are still doing so, just not with their own pick. Now, the future is definitely bright in Seattle with the picks that they've stockpiled and the young players that are already making an impact. We saw rookie running back Kenneth Walker III have more than 1,000 yards on the ground in just 15 games. Rookie Kobe Bryant in that secondary. You also think about Seattle's offensive line. They came into a playoff game today with two rookie offensive tackles. So the future is definitely bright there. Charles Cross, of course, their first round pick out of Mississippi State, and then Abraham Lucas out of Wazoo. And this is going to shape up to be a very interesting offseason for the Seahawks. They own the fifth overall pick in April's draft, courtesy of the Russell Wilson trade to the Denver Broncos. And they also have Denver's second round pick as well. So Seattle really could come out of this thing smelling like a rose. With that Denver pick, Seattle could go in a lot of different directions. Do you go quarterback there? Maybe another wide receiver, a pass rusher, a D tackle. We got to wait and see. Another question that has to be answered by the Seahawks in the next couple of months: what's the future of Geno Smith in Seattle? I mean, Geno had the best season of his NFL career, hands down. 30 touchdown passes, 11 interceptions. He completed nearly 70% of his passes. He led the league in that category, and he earned Pro Bowl honors for the first time in his career. Is Geno Smith the long-term answer at quarterback in Seattle? We got to wait and see. I mean, there's a lot of questions that have to be answered, and most notably and most importantly, who is going to be the quarterback for the Seahawks in 2023? The return of Jamal Adams to this defense. Well, Adams was lost for the season with an injury. And this young defense really stepped up and made plays. So it's going to be interesting to see how Jamal Adams fits back into this defense for next season. Seattle also has close to $50 million in cap space for this offseason. So I expect the Seahawks to be active and going out there and trying to improve this roster. And like I said, they really could come out of this smelling like a rose. For Pete Carroll, the Seahawks head coach, and John Schneider, the GM, this duo has been doing it for a very long time. And say what you want, Pete Carroll knows how to find the guys to fit his system on the offensive and defensive sides of the ball. And with extra picks now, I think Seattle will be in business. Seattle definitely wants to get to San Francisco's level. And of course, the Niners right now are the best team in this division. You look at it, and what makes San Francisco so good, they are stacked talent wise on both sides of the ball, and they have a lot of depth. And that's what Seattle wants to get to. And you think back to when the Seahawks won that Super Bowl about a decade ago, they were one of the deepest and most talented teams in the NFL. And now you're going to give Pete Carroll additional picks this offseason at the draft to get it done. That could be frightening for everybody else in this division. Now, getting back to the present, for these 49ers, they can now sit back and wait and see who they're going to get next weekend, as is either going to be the Minnesota Vikings, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, or Dallas Cowboys that will be making the trip to Santa Clara next weekend. And whoever that the Niners will be hosting, that team must know, and they probably do know, that they have a tough out on their hands because the Niners came into this postseason hot, and they are still hot right now. Now, the moment is not, and it has not been too big for 49ers rookie quarterback Brock Purdy, as he's playing within himself and he's not trying to do too much. He's trusting the talent around him, and there's plenty of it. And we saw him today, 18 of 30 passing for 332 with 3 touchdowns and no picks. Christian McCaffrey, again, to me, I thought this was the steal and the biggest trade prior to the deadline. He had 119 yards on the ground and also a receiving touchdown. Debo Samuel, 6 catches for a buck 33 and a score, 3 carries for 32 yards. So we see what these guys can do. And we haven't even talked about the likes of Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle on offense for the 49ers. So it's kind of like, you know what, pick your poison. And with that said, it's one of those where Brock Purdy might not be the most talented quarterback in the NFL in the playoffs right now, but he might be one of the smartest because he's going in there, he's playing within the realm of the system, he's trusting and relying on the talent around them, getting the football to them and letting them do what they do. And most importantly, San Francisco has one of the better offensive lines in football. And you see them run the football effectively with McCaffrey, Elijah Mitchell, and Debo Samuel. And it shades of the old USC Trojans offense with both John McKay and John Robinson, where you're seeing student body left and student body right. You see those toss plays, you see those sweeps. And when McCaffrey gets the ball, when Samuel gets the ball, when Mitchell gets the ball, they have a convoy of offensive linemen in front of them, led by all-world left tackle Trent Williams. So the question is, are the 49ers the team to beat in the NFC? And for me, I'm going to say yes. And the reason is I know that the Eagles are the top seed in the playoffs, but you look at a team with the way that they are playing heading into the playoffs, and the Eagles did not come in strong to the postseason. They stumbled down the stretch. I know they got Jalen Hurts back at quarterback last week, but this offense still did not look crisp. And I'm not saying that the Eagles cannot get it turned around and get going in the playoffs because they have that type of talent on that squad. But you look at the way that the Niners are playing right now, and they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. And they are one of the few teams, I think, remaining on the NFC side that could go to the link and beat the Eagles. That's how talented they are. It's a scenario where we saw it, especially in the third quarter. The 49ers have that basketball spurt ability, if you will, because they just took it to another level in that third quarter. They got the score to take the lead. Just when you thought Seattle was going in to tie and potentially take the lead, the defense stepped up, got the turnover, got the ball back to San Francisco. They scored. And before you knew it, Seattle was in a deficit that they simply could not recover from. That's what the good teams do. The 49ers did it today. They're moving on to the divisional round. And like I said, this is going to be a very tough out. Not saying that the 49ers are unbeatable, but make no mistake about it. If any team is going to go out there and knock this team off between now and the Super Bowl, they've had better pack a lunch. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There is also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I am signing off, saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.